Good afternoon. Today we're going to talk about retention. Our current turnover rate here in this organization is 10%. This is unusually high, and this is a flag that something is wrong within the organization. When we think of turnover and people terming from the organization, our first thought is that they're leaving the organization for a job with better pay. But in all honesty, turnover is not always about the employee's dissatisfaction with their pay. The most common reasons for turnover are job mismatch, lack of growth, internal pay equity, management, and workload. So let's just touch a little bit about these common reasons for turnover. Job mismatch is just that. The employee is not qualified for the job or does not have the proper skill set to execute the job. So the employee chooses to leave because of the mismatch, or management has to let the individual go. Lack of growth is, from the employee's perspective, that there's just no advancement, no opportunity to move up into a supervisory or managerial position. Internal pay equity is when employees feel dissatisfied with their pay in comparison to other employees. Management is a big reason for turnover, and that's usually because management is perceived or seen as playing favorites, micromanaging, or they're poor communicators. And finally, workload. If an individual feels that their workload is just too much in comparison to others, they experience burnout and then they move on, and they look for jobs that provide that work-life balance. Whatever the reason, turnover costs money, directly and indirectly, and the costs are quite expensive. Direct costs involve recruiting and advertising, orientation, and time. The potential cost can be calculated between 25 and 200% of the departing employee's salary. When we think about this in terms of dollars, the cost is astronomically crazy. The indirect costs involve lost knowledge, loss of productivity. Because you're bringing on a new hire, you've got to bring them up to speed. The individual training and orienting the new employee all cost time, which costs money. There's also the cost of the unmotivated employee prior to their leaving, not doing their work, not getting their job done, not meeting timely deadlines. And then, of course, the potential cost associated with loss of trade secrets. All of this is extremely expensive for the organization. Compensation is where I feel we need to look at in order to motivate our employees to stay with us. Currently, our pay scale is banded, and that is one of the more fair pay systems. But we do lack the fringe benefits that many other organizations offer to their employee. Personal time off, paid time off is a big one. Vacation time, paid maternity leaves. We currently do not offer any of these fringe benefits to our employees, and we really need to look at the compensation package. It's not always about pay. It's other things that motivate employees to stay. Management, communication, lack of opportunity of growth. All of these individual bullet points here are reflective of, over the last 3 months, I began conducting exit interviews. Now, there weren't enough exit interviews conducted where I feel confident that everyone in the organization is unhappy with the lack of compensation benefits, management, communication, and lack of opportunity, but it's certainly worth looking into. And that's where a retention strategy comes in. Currently in our HR department, we do not have a retention strategy, nor do we have a retention plan developed. The first step in developing a retention plan or strategy is really looking at job satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And the way to do that is to conduct an employee satisfaction survey and implement exit interviews for terming employees. The employee engagement survey and exit interviews will give us that tangible data to be able to analyze across the board what is it we're doing wrong as an organization that is causing such a high turnover rate. If we can identify those areas, we can implement a plan and hopefully reduce the number of people leaving our organization, and thus have a good retention rate, getting in the right direction. So my recommendation is we look at our compensation package, because that seems to be where the trend is. But again, we need to have more data so that we can analyze and confirm that this is truly where our weak spot is. And part of that would be looking at salaries and benefits, job enrichment, enlargement, and empowerment training, and other things that we may be able to offer our employees to motivate them to stay. Again, benefits is a big one. We need to look at things such as paid time off, paid holidays. We need to look at training and education for our staff that's currently employed. If we train our current employee base and get them ready, when someone terms, we have a whole host of individuals that we can utilize to then move into this position. That cuts down on recruitment costs, advertising costs. There's no loss of time and productivity because we already have an employee that's ready to roll. So we really need to look at that job enrichment and empowerment and training in order to motivate people to work harder and to be motivated to stay with us. That gives them that opportunity for growth. And again, the benefits and salaries package. These are the real key areas we need to focus in on. And doing an employee engagement survey will give us a more global view within our organization of where our employees feel we're lacking and where we can improve. And we can't take that information as a negative. The feedback has to be taken as constructive, because these are the people that are in the trenches. These are the individuals that are working for us. They are giving us the information, and then it's up to us to take that information and to then develop a retention plan. So our next steps is, my recommendation is that we budget for Q1 enough monies to implement an employee engagement satisfaction survey, a training program, not just for our first level of employees, but also for management, and that we review the compensation package. The employee engagement satisfaction survey can be conducted by an external vendor, or we could do a Survey Monkey. It's going to cost money, but it's money well spent. We're actually investing in our own organization and in our own employees by conducting this survey. It'll give us that data that we need to analyze to figure out where our weaknesses are and our strengths too. Not all employee surveys are negative. Not all of the feedback is negative. So we really need to figure out where our strengths are and where our weaknesses are, and kind of beef those things up to motivate employees to stay. Management training is key. We need to teach our managers how to manage well, and how to communicate. And we can offer management and communication classes outside of the organization, or we can bring people into the organization and do on-site trainings. Again, we're investing into our managerial staff. We're investing in the organization. The better managers we have, the happier our employees will be. And then finally, the compensation package. We need to really look at paid time off, perhaps based on hours worked. We need to look at some other fringe benefits that are going to motivate our staff to stay. And we're going to get those ideas from the employees themselves, again, by these employment engagement satisfaction surveys. My hope is that we can look at this and try to work on this and budget it for Q1, maybe Q2. That gives us a good solid 6 months to really work with outside vendors and prepare. But I feel that if we take these steps and implement what needs to be implemented, we will reduce our turnover rate significantly. Thank you.